Hello everyone, I'm Take, you're you, and it's good to be alive. Welcome back to We Don't Do Commentary, but we should. Today, I am joined by my dear friend Sparda. Sparda-man, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Hopefully, this set will conclude before my copy of Resident Evil shows up, so I don't have to awkwardly be like, Take, take over. I need to go to the door. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start charging for this, man, because Slay the Spire 2 just came out today as well in early access, so the both of us are like, while we are so happy to be here, we love doing this commentary, we're also like, shoot! There's so many cool things going on. But for today, this is going to be our second match in this LUTI season. We are in Season 17 of LUTI, and today we are commentating Saca Mode versus Zero Gravity. These two teams are in Division 6, they're in Group A, and for those of you who did not catch the last stream, last week Saca Mode went head-to-head against Gelato Gems. It was a really close set, but Gelato took the set 5-4. Exciting set there, lots of action, lots of good moments. So yeah, if you missed that, that's on the channel. Feel free to check it out. And today we're seeing Saca Mode versus Zero Gravity. Just as a quick disclaimer, I am testing out a few different settings on my stream, and I'm hoping that they are good and not bad. But if the VOD is bad and not good, then that means they didn't work. So we're hoping for the best. Again, for those who didn't catch the last stream, Saca Mode, it is a brilliant team named after the fish, the long expired, long extinct, jawless armored fish, Sacabambaspis. Crazy looking guy, you'll see from the thumbnail, they're a goofy goober, but they embody joy and whimsy, and we like to believe that Saca Mode is doing the same. Two members of Krill Streak, we have Mart and Milk. You're going to see Mart usually on that back line, and Milk doing either roller things or blaster things. AC Drift, they're known for Tetras, zooming in there, getting those rolls, getting those reef sliders, and then our very own Ravioli with Black Squid Ink Burger, my boy, going to be jumping in there, maybe doing some bucketing, maybe doing some dynamo. So we're really excited to see where they take it today. And Sparda, I will hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit about Zero Gravity.
Zero Gravity. They are a team named after the Sonic Riders game that a lot of people say is the best one. For real. As a team, because I'm full transparency here at the Take and Friends show. Since this was a little bit last minute, I have the sheets right in front of me. And from what I can see, as far as notable results go, on February 7th, they got 9th in Flutie 7. And two of their members from the little recon I was able to get got 4th in Low Ink. So, I mean, hey, can't really count out anybody yet, but at least compared to last week, I think Saca Mode has their work cut out for them. These guys seem like serious business. And lining up the roster for Zero Gravity, we have Kingston, their Slayer, with a wider range of weapons, actually, with Tri-Bucket, Leader, Charger, and what it looked... Oh, no, wait, that's quite the opposite spectrum of weapons. Never mind. My eyes deceive me. They are a Tri-Bucket main and a Charger main. You could not get any different than that. Then we got Bree, their captain, with dually squelchers and shooters. We got Juancho, their flex with dualies and swords. We got Kate, their backline, which got to do a little extra digging, but they are in fact a backline that flexes into the Gal family. And we got I am sorry if I mispronounced her name, if you're here. We have I was about to say Cheez-Its, but we got
I've been drafted. I've been drafted.
You've been drafted. Oh gosh!
I'm locking in.
Breaking news: Take has been drafted into the war.
Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. It's crazy. And then BIB Take, known for their splat roller gameplay of almost 10 years now, they're gonna be joining Zero Gravity to see if they can make a dent in the side of. Man, that's crazy. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're all good. Let's finish it off. They are their sub with seems like bucket and minis. So I guess show us what you got, Taka. Let's see how this goes, man. I hope good luck.
Okay, so I'll be doing spec cam, I'll be playing, and I'll be commentating. Get ready for the best show of multitasking you ever done seen in your life. All right, team, let's roll out. Oh, good grief.
It seems Zero Gravity's secret weapon was you.
I mean, that completely threw me off. I had this whole avenue that I was going down, and now it is completely out the window. But last week when they were fighting, when Saca Mode was fighting Gelato Gems, the comps were, I think, fairly similar, where you usually see a Splatling on either side, some rollers in the mix, some swords, all that stuff. And dang it, I'm gonna try really hard to not say as much today, because when I was watching the replay, I was like, shoot, that is a filler word of mine. So I'm gonna, yeah, mental note for all of us now. Damn it. When I was looking at their roster and I saw Bree, for a split second, the PTSD flashbacks that beset upon me, I had an absolute meltdown. And so I went to check their Sendo, and in their Sendo page at the bottom it says, "No, I'm not that Bree who plays Carbon." And so I was like, okay, it wasn't just me. I'm not the only one who's been who wakes up in a cold sweat with nightmares being like, "Oh, Bree!" It's a different Bree. I don't think they play Carbons, but if they do, we're about to learn about a whole new side of this Bree. But we're about to kick off with game number 1. We have Umami Splat Zones. We did see Umami in our last set, but that one was Clam Blitz. It was the pivotal difference maker game where Saca Mode was up against the ropes. They were nearly toast, and then they had a really crazy, really clutch overtime win thanks to a quick reef, thanks to some blasting shots, I believe. So today we're gonna see how this goes for everybody. On the side of Saca Mode, that Tetris we were talking about, Rob's on the Dynamo, Mart is on Edit, and then Milk is on that blaster with Bubbler. And what are we seeing for Zero Grav, Sparta?
Look like you got Tri-Bucket, Rapid Frozen, Vanilla Wiper, and a Order Shot. Kind of starting off very strong, getting a quick wipe on Saca Mode there. Saca Mode already off to a pretty bad start, but I have to say, just based on weapon select, I think Saca Mode has a lot of work cut out for them, because it just kind of seems that, especially now that they swapped off of Heavy for Edit, they have a serious range problem. I don't know how they're going to effectively deal with that rapid. I like with these new weapons. I don't know if they're frozen or if they're winter, but the third Rapid Pro is going to give them a lot of issues. Oh, we got that really sick jet snipe from Rav, who immediately goes down to something, and I mean, they're finally fighting their way out of spawn, but Zero Gravity just has an insane lead now, where I feel like they can just slowly build up their specials and just kind of easily take back mid. What do you think, Taco?
I'm sure glad that they did take back mid when they did, because that was about to be a very one-sided game. We had that knockout within the first 15 seconds, and that can be pretty tough to come back from. So far, I have this rolling on the auto cam, and it is convinced that we only need to see Saca Mode. Maybe it does that for the team that has a lead to make up. And boy, do they, because getting your zones score all the way down to 18 in the first 2 minutes, that is pretty impressive. And so Saca Mode, they're trying their best to get back in here. Rob is trying to find that pick on the Inkjet, and they almost got it. They're jumping in there. They managed to trade out with the Wiper, which at this point, they're going to need every pick they can get, as Bree on that shot takes another one. And it's looking a little grim for Saca Mode. They're a little out of place. They find Drift, and Bree seems to be on a little bit of a hot streak. They're in here on mid. They're charging for Zuka. They nearly have that, and I have a sense this is about to be devastating for those last 2 members of Saca Mode. Make that the last 1 member of Saca Mode, as Zero Gravity nearly has their penalty done. But the only person left on Zero Gravity is this Tri-Slosher. They're trying to play safe and avoid getting seen, and they hit below as they take down Ravioli on that Dynamo with 7 seconds left on the zone. they're trying really hard to keep it because zones can go either way, and they have enough paint on the ground to keep that. That is game one going to zero gravity.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those games that was just kind of decided at weapon select. I feel that if you're running Dynamo Blaster, that is already making your team comp especially slow. And even more so on a two-zoner. We can as we saw clear as day, Zero Gravity just kind of walked in there, steamrolled them once, and Saca Mode just could not find the opening they needed to get back on the map. And even when they did, it was a temporary victory because as soon as Zero Gravity was able to make it back on the map, they just got their specials, walked in, and then won the game. I'm not really sure if I agree with Mart switching to edit there. It feels like heavy is kind of the go-to for the way Saca Mode plays, since edit, for as good as it is, maybe not so much after the patch, it does not have the same paint output that heavy does, and I feel like that's something that they need, especially if they want to keep this Dynamo Blaster strategy they have.
It's a good observation, and one parallel between this set and what we saw last week is Game 1. Game 1 last week went very convincingly to Gelato Gems. Granted, that had some interesting connection stuff going on, but don't count Saca Mode out just yet, because I think whenever there's a really convincing Game 1 to whoever lost that game, it kind of sends a message, right? It sets that pace for what do we need to change, what do we need to adjust. We got ran down really quick in the opener, so how are we going to make some pivots and some changes to rise up to that occasion? Let's see where we're going to Clam Blitz on Scorch Gorge, which that might have even been game 2 of last. I don't remember who was game 2, but it was definitely played last week. So both teams have had some practice here. They've had some experience, right, last week, and we're going to see what kind of pivots, what changes we have. Stream got a little mad there. Sorry if there was any jittering or connection bumps, but that's not why we're here. We're here to check out what's going on for Saca Mode. The change we see, Milk, I believe, is going for that splat roller, and then on the side of Zero Gravity, I think, other than Bree changing to a different color of the normal splatter shot, I think we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah, as far as Zero Gravity is concerned, I'm 99.9% sure their comp is the same. And given how well the last game went, I mean, I don't really blame them for not wanting to switch. Once again, Zero Gravity just taking the lead immediately, taking the initiative. They didn't get a wipe, but they may as well have with how far back Saca Mode was forced. Admittedly, their push via clam economy isn't the greatest. If your first push doesn't get you below 60, it's kind of a bad opener, since at that point the pity clam just becomes that much more powerful. But I mean, that doesn't really matter if Saca Mode is never able to get on the map. It seems like the Reefs traded out with the Blaster, which I don't really know. I was really hoping that maybe, again, this is the start of a new set. I was really hoping to see Drift make better use of the Reef sliders in that. We saw a lot of that the other set, where they would Reef and maybe at best get a trade. It clutched up once, but it's not really healthy for your competitive set if you get one cool moment and then just not get much for the rest of the Reef slides. And I get it, like Tetras are kind of that weapon where it doesn't really matter how many times you die, it's getting that one good Reef slide. But there's just there's a little, I'm hoping for a little bit of more nuance there.
And speaking of nuance, I'm glad that Saca Mode was able to shut down and get some life here, because we nearly saw the same thing happen with that devastating opener. We've got more of a game now where Zero Gravity they have about 25 points down, but that's not bad. We still have definitely a game going on here, as they're going in. Juancho with the hammer going in there and getting picked out by Mart on that the edit splatling. They're pulling out that crab, trying to see if they can get the Zero Gravity out of here, because they've got clams, they've got Well, I say they have claims. They have one power claim, but not a really great claim economy, which it seems like they know that because they are not forcing this. They're trying to get paint control. They're trying to find members before forcing that push, which I think that takes patience. I'm oftentimes guilty of running in because I'm like, I have one clan, let's go and do this. And sometimes Splatoon is two things, I think. Splatoon is go in guns a-blazing like a crazy person, and then it is also a crazy game of patience. And as we see, Juancho with the hammer, they do a flank, they get a triple, they're in flow mode, and they're hungry. Can they get Rob on the dynamo? They're thinking about it. They chuck that football back. They're like, that is not for me. I'm a killing machine right now. I want to be back in flow. I want to get another pick on that Tetras. And man, that was not where I want to be. That was a crazily enabled push. And shout out to the wiper on Zero Gravity for making that happen.
Yeah, when Juancho popped the hammer, it was really imperative that Mart be able to take them out immediately, just because against hammer specifically, Mart on the splat lane is the only one with a positive matchup on that. The other weapons kind of struggle to get through hammer. And we saw them just reap the benefits of that matchup because they were unable to stop the hammer, got the triple, and they have an even more demanding lead. But again, a lot can happen in just over a minute in Clan Blitz, so hopefully Saca Mode can get some life back in the game. But it kind of feels like that's been the early reoccurring theme in this set, is hopefully Saca Mode can get some life back in the game. But I don't know. It's rough. They are trying their best to get out of their spawn, but this Rapid Blaster Pro is just wreaking havoc. The Dynamo can't get in. Splatling is kind of getting bullied out of position. It's hard. And again, Hammer comes out again, gets another triple, I think. Oh boy, this is looking a little rough.
Ooh, they left the back door open again. The same thing happened. History has repeated itself where if Saca Mode wants to stay in this set, they need to make a mental pivot to watch out for that wiper, because that was another devastating push. Even if they didn't get through their penalty, that bought them a whole lot of time. Saca Mode needs to find those picks and make that adjustment, because so far it seems like, well, I say that, before I could even say it, it doesn't seem like Zero Gravity's chilling. They just got wiped, and they're letting Saca Mode get in here. Saca Mode has already removed 50 points on their timer, but I think it's too little too late, as Kate here on that blaster just sits back, pops those shots, and removes the legs out of Saca Mode in their one attempt. That was a good Hail Mary. That was an absolutely great attempt to get back there and make that happen, but boy, that's a little bit scrappy to come out with 5 seconds left in the match, Sparta.
Yeah, and again, if I was Saca Mode here, I would have some serious discussions on how to deal with this Rapid, because the Rapid is kind of what shut down their entire last hurrah, and we very much could have seen a comeback had it not been for the Blaster getting that double direct there. Going into this third game, I would like to see the return of the Heavy, just because they really need that range and paint bonus. You could kind of see it there where Mart was really struggling to even find a spot to stand for longer than 2 seconds without getting harassed by either the wiper or especially the blaster. I think by now you would have to make the decision to switch over to Vanilla Heavy. I do not want to see this go 5-0. I do not. I'm hoping Saca Mode has some kind of contingency plan here, because I don't think my heart can bear to see another dominating match like that.
I think Heavy could be a good pivot, right? Because that has the paint, which Saca Mode was definitely missing on that last one, as well as Wavebreaker to help locate where people are, where that sword is, right? If they're using that back door and sneaking in behind. But fair play to Zero Gravity. They had a good balanced approach where not only were they racking up those kills, but they also had a really strong clam economy, which oftentimes, especially if you're playing solo, it is really difficult to have both of those at the same time, because you can get, I think we said this last time, you can get all of the kills in the or all of the picks and the splats in the world, but if you don't have any claims, you ain't winning, son. And Zero Gravity did. They had that avalanche of claims we saw near the end there, after the third time the Wiper racked up those, or not third time, the second time they racked up those hammer kills. There was just a wave of clams that came in towards the basket, and seeing that synergy and that teamwork coming together, it blows for Saca Mode, sure, but for Zero Gravity, seeing that approach that's great. You know, using that and having that coordination is a lot harder than it looks. So well played, Zero Gravity, on that game. And for our next one, game number 3 on TC Museum Alfonsino. This is going to be interesting. I think Ravioli on the Dynamo, I see this as a good Dynamo map, right? You can overlook the middle, you can see where that tower is going, you can try and do a lot of damage from pretty far away. So I think Rav is going to have a good time here. I think you mentioned Drift, using the reef sliders a little bit more cautiously, I think could be a good pivot. And then we're gonna see Bree has hung up their splatter shot for a Forge Pro here. They want that GG special, that Booyah Bomb, and it's the march of the auto bombs. We got Chicken Run out here. Do you see that? A bunch of auto bombs are coming in there to take out Zero Gravity. They're like, listen, man, we're not gonna be scared. We're just gonna be hesitant and throw some chickens at you. A little bit of an early push in the tower from Saca Mode. They were trying to lead with that bravery, but Rav is stranded. Rav, maybe not so stranded, picks up a kill, almost gets that trade. They're hanging out for dear life. They get cooler, and all of a sudden the tides have changed.
Nice.
Rav is getting on the tower with Kate from Zero Gravity on that blaster. They are trying so hard to hold back this force, but that's a lot of pressure. Milk on this blaster is already here on the spinner, looking to find some picks, or even if not some picks, some distractions. And just like that, three more go down on Zero Gravity, Sparda.
Yeah, see, this is what I wanted to see. I think right now, I think the biggest change now is Rob going to Tri-Slosher there, make their team comp a little faster, a little bit more active in their aggression, rather than trying to lock down an area, which makes a lot of sense to make that switch here in TC. But yeah, we can already see that gamble kind of pay off in spades, where they were just immediately able to catch Zero Gravity off guard. It kind of feels like Zero Gravity got a little bit too comfortable with how the last 2 games went, and yeah, once again, Zero Gravity going 2 down. Oh, not 2 down. That's Saca Mode, but I mean, it's even when they're losing, it kind of feels like they're winning. Just you can just immediately, oh, yep, and the hammer getting shut down by the reef slider. Yeah, man, this faster, more aggressive comp is working out so much better. Zero Gravity going 3 down, the last one left, just popping their Booyah Bomb. This push is officially over. Mart being able to just kind of just chill for a second on the tower. They got crab charged up. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you back up there because the Rapid is about to spark you. Yeah, man, I'm really liking how much faster Saca Mode is playing now that the Dynamo was switched out for a Tri-Slosher.
Which is ironic, because at the start of this I was like, a great map for Dynamo, and then the whole pivot is like, we're not running Dynamo, so it shows what I know. We see both teams, they're throwing their coolers down, and they know that this is a slug fest, it is a splat bath, there is just a lot of stuff going on here, and Zero Gravity, they're trying to lead, they're trying to push forward because they want to keep that tower safe and sound. They nearly have the lead. Saca Mode is trying, but they have too little too late. Ravioli's here on the tower, but it's a sea of yellow. Milk tried to get in there, just a little bit too late, and that leaves Mart again here to defend. And I would bet you anything that Zero Gravity, they're jumping into the tower. Sure enough, they're getting those reinforcements because they feel safe. Bree on the Forge, racking up a double, if not a triple. We just caught the tail of that. And they were playing the long game. It's not over yet. If Saca Mode plays really safe, really careful, maybe they can save this and keep this battle going for a little bit longer. But that's a rough battle. The Pro keeps on picking up those splats. They have Booyah Bomb ready, which is going to be really deadly if they use it right.
Oh, they're contesting it. They are trying their hardest to not let the game end, and unfortunately, it was not enough. despite that one being a relatively quick mode for their adjustment there, I feel they're really, really close to figuring out this matchup, even at the cost of, game 3. But yeah, I personally feel like this was Saca Mode's best game yet. I mean, they had that early game initiative. It was just, I think, just Zero Gravity was able to adjust even faster than that, and they just kind of turned the tides seemingly on a dime, and Saca Mode was just unable to stop their momentum.
What a heartbreaker. That game started just like an underdog story, that Cinderella story even, where, yeah, Saca Mode made some really great pivots. They were bold, they weren't playing scared, and for a moment there, I thought that was going to make the difference and really win the game, but unfortunately, for Saca Mode, that is, when Zero Gravity made that adjustment, they started finding those picks, and honestly, when the pro started just racking those kills up, Museum is a really tough one, in my opinion, to, well, I mean, every map in this dang gang, ding dang game,
Ding dang, ding dang game.
has, issues with snowballing, Museum being one of them as well. It was just too much. It was too much to come back from, and Zero Gravity has a third win under their belts in this set. As a reminder, LUTI is best of 9, so whoever wins 5 games first takes the set. But stranger things have happened. This set is not over. Like Sparta said, we saw a completely different team from Saca Mode in that last one, and they're continuing that facelift, that mental improvement, because it's taking 7 calendar years to start the match. But we'll be moving to Rainmaker on Mako Mart. My theory last time was because Mart and Milk are 2 of the members of Saca Mode. I think this is going to be Saca Mode's first win. It by the laws of the universe, it has to be. Mako Mart, Milk Mart, come on, bam, it's right there, it's written. That will be how this one goes. Spartalino, do you think we're going to see the Forge stay in this game, or maybe not a good pick for Mako Mart?
I think it would be a lot better to have a Bucket here. I think Bucket is just a much stronger weapon. I guess you could make the argument for the Frozen Pro, but I just feel like Tri-Slosher is the play here, and let's see if I'm right. No, they stay Frozen Pro? Alright, I mean, I can see it. You have Suction Bomb for quick pops and area denial. You have the missiles that are, missiles. And here we see that Rob staying on Tri-Slosher. That I agree with. Milk staying on Blaster. That I also agree with. I think the 2 of them did extremely well last game. I don't really think there's a reason to switch, especially here on this map where both of those weapons are much stronger than Dynamo. And I know you're gonna hate me for saying this, V-Roller, because Buckets can't get away with murder on this map. And as I was yapping away, it appears Zero Gravity is quite on the precipice of getting this checkpoint, but seems like that push is kind of dead after the Tri-Bucket goes down and Saca Mode's bubble gets placed down. So I think right now, yeah, they're just going to let it reset, hopefully maintain mid, get the pop, and then try again. It's strange. Sometimes it feels like Zero Gravity gets caught off guard by the sudden change of aggression on the side of Saca Mode, but then they're very quick at making like these small macro adjustments of just switching priority targets. A nice reef cancel by Juancho there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they manage to get the checkpoint this early on, it's not going to look too great for Saca Mode.
So far, it's an interesting start because we saw that signature speed and aggression from Zero Gravity, but if I'm being really honest with you, Sparta, a few movement problems on both sides. Falling off the ledges, not making the jumps correctly, maybe waiting a little bit too long. I think we could have got check a long time ago from Zero Gravity if we were just a little bit more down bad. But they're still in here. We've got a full set up for both teams. We'll go to our top-down mode, and it seems like nobody wants to sit around the Rainmaker. I don't think, yeah, there's not going to be a grab. It seems like Zero Gravity is fine just finding those picks, trying to keep mid. The blaster does go down to, I believe, the crab, but that leaves it looks like a 2-2 situation as Ravioli picks up that pick on Juancho. That was a really important pick with that hammer. And Saca Mode, they're going to put some points on the board and see if they can maybe find that checkpoint, but they are met by Kate on that rapid blaster, who shut down that push, trying to hold that defense, but even so, 2 more go down on the side of Zero Gravity, and that could be a window to the checkpoint for Saca Mode, as they're trying to be pretty careful here. Drift is considering going left, and they considered for just a little bit too long. And it looks like Juancho is in position to do another flank. They scared a member of Saca Mode out of there, and they want to pave that way. I think the speed that we are seeing from Zero Gravity is really making a difference. And Juancho, Drift knows they're there, but that knowledge didn't really cut it because that hammer comes out. And I think they're going to get the pick on the Splatling up there. No, Mart says, I'm going to stay alive. I'm going to run for my life. I'm going to get in a good position. So maybe I can help this defense. And help the defense they do, as there is only 1 member left on Zero Gravity. Mart has that crab ready, so probably shouldn't be grabbing. Nope, Rav is going to grab, but they're a little far forward. Make sure you get your team leading you so you don't get wiped too fast. And it's, what a game that we have so far. There's 1 minute and 30 left, but that leaves only Rav. That's a wipeout on Saca Mode. And now Zero Gravity can do their thing, push up yet again, and it's going to be up to Saca Mode to try and hold this.
Yeah, I feel like maybe on the side of Saca Mode, there's a little bit of panic happening, and I mean, rightfully so. They are getting very close to losing this whole set, but it just feels like, yeah, Rav went a little bit too... which caused a little bit of a scramble situation where the crab came out, but just in the wrong place at the wrong time and got punished for it.
Oh no!
And punished for it indeed by Zero Gravity just ending the game.
Oh, that feels bad, I think, for anybody who has played solo in this game, or even tournaments for that matter. Sometimes you get a little bit complacent in the back and forth and the waiting and the, all right, we're going to sit here and wait for our opponents to make a move. But Rainmaker, as well as Clam Blitz as well, if you let your guard down for just a fraction of a second too long, something like that happens where your opponents can slither and slide away into what they need, and that is exactly what happened. That puts us in a 4-0 situation, Sparta. It's not looking great for Saca Mode. If they are going to take a few games or even win this set. Oh, maybe we have a sub going on here. Unless they agreed to do a 4-0. What kind of pivot or adjustment in terms of approach or mechanics do you think Saca Mode needs to do to rise up to meet the speed and the kind of devious guerrilla tactics that we're seeing Zero Gravity employ?
I think the culprit here is a little bit of coordination. Early, like towards the end of that Rainmaker game, when it looked like Saca Mode had something going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I had a little bit of a split vision there, but I think Saca Mode kind of split into groups of 2 rather than fully committing to one side. And considering the approach for the checkpoint, the defenders are going to have the advantage there just due to the verticality. So they were easily able to pick off the Rainmaker carrier, and now because the Rainmaker going down, it's a 4v3, and the rest of Saca Mode got picked off. I feel like their hearts are in the right place with their sudden pivot to being more aggressive with Blaster and Tri-Slosher. I feel like they just need to work on being a little bit more coordinated whenever they're able to get another chance at a push.
I agree with that, because I don't think the issue was necessarily picks. We saw multiple times where a lot of the lights went down on Zero Gravity, so it wasn't like Zero Grav was just dominating in picks the entire time. It just seemed a little bit slow from Saca Mode, and when they did get their shot, yeah, you're right, just a little bit uncoordinated, but we're putting that behind us. This is the ever-important Crab Leg Game 5. We're seeing a couple of change-ups on the side excuse me, of Saca Mode. Drift is pulling out the Junior. Bongus is in here for Ravioli on the Dynamo. Mart has a Hydra, and Milk is on that Carbon. Similar for Zero Grav, except we're seeing Juancho on dualies instead of Wiper, which has been working pretty well for them. But let's see what Juancho can pull off here with their dualies and their Crab. Maybe they're going Crab to keep the Crab in Crab leg. They're aware that Mart is pretty rocking on that the Splatling in that long range, and I mean we're seeing that happening with that Hydra. Good grief. Sorry, I'm getting a little flabbergasted here. Everybody's a little bit out of position, but that's working out just fine for Zero Grav as Saca Mode goes 2 down. And it seems like Juancho said, I might be on dualies, but that's no problem. I can still get up in your business and make your life miserable. As Saca Mode is now 2 down, Sparda.
Yeah, I mean, going back to your comments about the team comps, this is definitely an unorthodox team comp. I don't think I've ever seen something like this being picked in a competitive set. The Inkjet being able to pick off both the Hydra and the Dynamo. Zero Gravity just kind of running amok up here at Saca Mode spawn and seemingly uncontested. Very interesting weapon choices from Saca Mode here. It's going to be very hard for them to fight out of spawn here. It just feels like this Tri-Slosher is just effectively denying them exiting the spawn as we're approaching sub 10 on the counter. I don't think that we're going to be able to see them. Yeah, the 2 of them go out, and unfortunately, that's going to be the set.
That is the set. Zero Gravity was saving the best for last. The way when we moved to that top down and we saw everybody except for one person from Zero Gravity was up in Saca Mode's spawn. That is how you should play Splatoon. You should have basically all of your boxes checked, and then anything else that you don't absolutely need, send those people out, get them fighting, get them distracting, because it's really hard to focus on an objective when you feel like there's people behind you, especially as a Hydra. If you're like, oh crap, there's a dualies, you know, this crazy Wiper player is behind me, I can feel it. It's hard to focus, and both the dualies and the bucket, everybody from Zero Gravity really brought that energy straight to spawn, and I think the set closed the way it started, with Saca Mode just being a little slow. I don't think they could pivot in time, which it's unfortunate for Saca Mode, but truly very well played to both teams. Zero Gravity, you did a phenomenal job, well done. The speed and the aggression, that's something that I think even BSIB could take away from that. Moving that fast and really capitalizing on those picks, that was really great to see. So well played to everybody. And goodness, I was really hoping we'd have a number other than 0 up there for Saca Mode, but that's LUTI. Sometimes, LUTI can be a lot of things, and I think it's a great learning opportunity for Saca Mode if they want to keep on rolling in this LUTI season. Maybe trying to find a couple of tweaks or a couple of changes to make the comp faster, and if it's not a comp issue, making the movement faster, where try and have those callouts a little bit snappier. If the objective isn't good, if we don't know where it is, have those callouts, right? Make sure that somebody knows where they're going, what they're doing, so that everybody else can be all hands on deck, taking the fight to the opponents. And sometimes I was really convinced that the try was gonna go down at the end there, and they didn't. But I was going to say, if they had, that sometimes staying alive isn't even all that important, because if you're distracting and if you pull 3 of your opponents away from objective and they're doing a wild goose chase to chase you in spawn, for zones, that can be time well spent, and it certainly was for Zero Gravity today. Yeah, that was a strong set, well played, and yeah, Sparta, what thoughts do you have on all that?
Without repeating what you just said, because I feel like I have a lot of the same thoughts that you did. That was extremely well played by Zero Gravity. It felt like they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Every game they had a game plan, they stuck to it. They made the micro adjustments needed to adjust to whatever Saca Mode tried to do. I feel like Saca Mode needs to work on the coordination just a little bit. I feel like there were some opportunities at a comeback kind of squandered by being a little antsy, a little indecisive at times, but both teams played well. Saca Mode, despite the score being 0-5, Saca Mode definitely had their moments of glory. They had some impressive showings. I just feel like they have to tighten it up, and I think they'll be able to do some great things this LUTI. And I don't know how the rest of this group is gonna go, but I don't know. I mean, GG's to Zero Gravity. If anything, I mean, I expect to see you guys in playoffs for Div 6. You guys did amazing. You guys did what you needed to do. You guys showed up. You came. You conquered, and you get to go. You get to go home early tonight because of that. So congrats on the strong win.
We have to wait until week 5 to see Gelato Gems facing off against Zero Gravity. As a reminder for anybody who didn't see the first stream, Gelato Gems, they were the first opponents that Saca Mode fought last week, and again, that was a 5-4 set in favor of Gelato Gems. I wonder how this is going to go between those two teams, because you might think, well, if it was 5-4 and then 0-5, there you go. And I beseech ye, that is not the case. Splatoon math doesn't work that way, where you try and rock, paper, scissors and be like, if I beat you and you beat them, then they're going to beat me. Not so fast. I'm going to be very keen to see how that one plays out, to see, and that might make a difference. It might make the difference of who makes it to the end and who doesn't. Next week, Saca Mode is going to be fighting Hayate, I believe? Hayate? I think Hayate sounds probably better.
Yes, that is correct.
Very good. And so we will see if we are on the books for that one as well. We're a little bit loosey-goosey here, but as far as commentary goes, for anybody who has stuck around this far, if you're playing in LUTI or you know anybody who is that might be interested in some goofy yet enjoyable commentary, please feel free to reach out. Sparda and I love doing this. It's we have a great time, and it is good experience for us, so that one day we can finally fulfill our dream of commentating at a LAN. So yeah, let me know if there's any sets that you would like us to jump in for, and also let me know if you want to do spec cam, because boy,
we need you bad.
yeah, I'm sure you were noticing at the beginning, Sparta, and I feel like we can kind of go off the rails for the end here. For the start, it was really strange because I was using the auto camera mode, and it was just focusing on the Saca Mode because they didn't have the zone, right? So I guess in terms of game logic, it was like, if a play is gonna happen, it needs to come from these people. And I'm like, yes, but also, is commentary fair and like unbiased if I'm only focusing on one team? So after that second game, I think it was the Rainmaker. No, it was the Clams on Scorch, where it kept on like auto going back to the basket when the push was clearly done, and I was like, no, can we see the action, please? So sorry for. I feel like the spec cam after those two games, when I started running it mostly manual, it got a little bit better, but yeah, for everybody who was putting up with that, thanks for dealing with that. And K-Bot, if that's actually you in the chat, how's it going, dude? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in and showing up for Zero Gravity. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I guess with that being said, I think we should wrap things up here, unless there's any last minute things you want to talk about.
The only thing I can think of is, if you have not played Slay the Spire, you should know that Slay the Spire 2 is now in early access on Steam. So if you want a really good game, deck building, roguelite with beautiful animation and good music, go check out Slay the Spire. But all that's left is to sign off. I've been Take, you've been you. Till next time.
Bye.